Tommy and Angela cannot be in the same room for 5 minutes without turning it into a full-blown argument. And somehow, that is exactly why fans cannot stop watching them. They talk over each other, they roll their eyes, they throw insults like they are having fun doing it. And underneath all that noise, there is a strange kind of chemistry that keeps pulling them back together. This video brings together their best bickering moments from Landman Season 2. The lines that made people laugh out loud and the fights that felt way too real. If you have ever loved two characters who drive each other crazy but somehow cannot quit each other, you are going to enjoy this one. Tommy and Angela have a way of turning even the smallest disagreement into a full-scale battle. And that is what makes their scenes so much fun to watch. In this section, we look back at some of their sharpest exchanges from Season 2. The moments where their history and their stubbornness collide head-on. One of the standout moments happens early in the season when the two of them are forced to work through a problem together. Instead of solving it calmly, they start throwing jabs at each other almost immediately. Each one trying to prove they are right while the other refuses to back down. What makes this scene work is the timing. The way one line lands right after the other without any pause. Like two people who have had this same fight 100 times before and know exactly which buttons to push. Later in the season, there is a moment where Angela brings up something from their past to win an argument. And Tommy is caught completely off guard. He tries to fire back with something just as sharp, but you can see he is a little rattled. And that small crack in his usual confidence is what fans loved most about the scene. It shows that behind the sarcasm there is real history between them. And that history is never far from the surface. Another memorable clash comes when the two of them disagree about a decision that affects people around them. Tommy wants to handle things one way. Angela pushes back hard, and neither one is willing to give an inch. The argument gets louder, the comments get more personal. And just when it feels like things might go too far, one of them says something so unexpectedly funny that the whole tone shifts and the tension breaks into laughter. What ties all these moments together is that the bickering never feels mean-spirited. Even when they are annoyed with each other, there is a warmth underneath it. Like two people who know each other too well to actually stay angry for long. That balance between conflict and comfort is exactly what keeps audiences coming back for more of their scenes. And it sets the stage perfectly for everything else we are about to look at in this compilation. There is a special kind of trouble that only shows up when Tommy and Angela are in the same scene together. And it rarely stays between just the two of them. What starts as a simple disagreement has a way of spreading, pulling in everyone nearby until half the room is dealing with the fallout of something. That began as a two-person argument. One of the funniest examples happens when the two of them are supposed to be handling a simple task together. Instead of getting it done quietly, their back and forth turns into something loud enough that other people start noticing, stopping what they are doing just to watch the two of them go at it. The people caught in the middle try to stay neutral, but their faces say everything, somewhere between amused and exhausted. Like they have seen this exact scene play out before and know better than to get involved. Then there is the moment where their disagreement accidentally messes up plans for someone else entirely. Tommy is trying to prove a point, Angela is trying to prove hers, and in the middle of all that back and forth, a simple task turns into a much bigger mess than anyone expected. The best part is, neither of them seems to notice the damage they are causing until it is already done. And by then, it is almost too late to fix quietly. Family gatherings bring out an even wilder version of this chaos. Add other relatives into the mix, all with their own opinions. And Tommy and Angela's usual bickering becomes the spark that sets off a much bigger argument. Voices rise, old topics get brought up that probably should have stayed buried. And for a moment, it feels like the whole scene might spiral out of control before someone finally manages to calm things down. Usually with a joke that catches everyone off guard. What makes these chaos-filled scenes so entertaining is watching how differently each character reacts under pressure. Tommy tends to get louder and more stubborn, doubling down even when he probably should stop talking. Angela, on the other hand, gets sharper and more precise, picking her words carefully to land the biggest hit. Together they create a kind of storm that nobody around them can predict or control. And that unpredictability, it's exactly why these moments end up being some of the most talked about scenes of the season. By the end of each chaotic episode, things usually settle down. But not without leaving a trail of confused bystanders and a few new inside jokes for fans to quote for weeks. It is messy, it is loud. And it is exactly the kind of chaos that keeps people coming back for more. Asterisk underneath all the arguing and the sharp comments. There is a quieter side to Tommy and Angela that only shows up every once in a while, and when it does, it hits differently. These are the moments that slow everything down, where the sarcasm disappears for just a second, and something more honest takes its place. One of the most touching scenes happens when Angela is going through something difficult, and Tommy, without any of his usual jokes, simply shows up for her. He does not make a big speech about it. He does not try to fix everything at once. He just stays present in a way that feels natural for someone who has known her for a long time. It is a small gesture, but it says more about their bond than any argument ever could. There is also a quiet moment later in the season where Tommy is dealing with pressure from every direction, and Angela is the one who notices before anyone else does. Instead of pushing him with more questions or criticism, she gives him space. And when she finally does speak, her words carry none of the usual bite. It is a short exchange, but it reveals how well she actually understands him. Even when they spend most of their time butting heads, what makes these softer scenes stand out is the contrast. Because the audience is so used to seeing Tommy and Angela clash, watching them be gentle with each other feels almost surprising. Like catching a glimpse of something private that was never meant to be loud or dramatic. These moments remind viewers that their constant bickering is not the whole story. It is built on top of real trust, the kind that only comes from years of knowing someone through their worst days and their best ones. There is one scene in particular that fans still bring up, where the two of them sit together after a long stretch of conflict, saying almost nothing at all. No jokes, no sharp comments, just two people who have been through a lot sitting quietly in the same space. It says more with silence than most scenes say with pages of dialogue. And it is a strong reminder that their connection runs much deeper than the surface-level arguing suggests. These quieter moments do not happen often, which is exactly what makes them matter so much when they do. They give the audience a reason to care about Tommy and Angela beyond the comedy, and they set up the emotional weight that makes the funnier. Louder moments hit even harder once the story shifts back into its usual rhythm. Asterisk. Every great pairing has a handful of moments that stick with the audience long after the episode ends. And Tommy and Angela have given fans plenty to quote. These are the lines that got clipped, shared, and repeated in comment sections. The ones that turned a regular scene into something people still bring up weeks later. One of the most talked about moments comes from a simple conversation that suddenly takes a sharp turn. Angela says something so unexpected and so perfectly timed that even Tommy needs a second to react. It is not a long speech or a dramatic moment, just a few words delivered with perfect timing. And that is exactly why it landed so hard with viewers. Sometimes the shortest lines end up being the most memorable. Then there is the scene where Tommy tries to have the last word in an argument, only for Angela to shut it down with a single comment that flips the entire mood of the scene. The way she delivers it, calm and completely unbothered, makes it even funnier, because it shows she is always a step ahead of him. Even when he thinks he has one. Another fan favorite happens during a tense moment that suddenly breaks into comedy. Right when the scene feels like it is about to get serious, one of them says something so random and so perfectly out of place that it catches everyone off guard, including the people around them in the scene. That kind of unexpected humor is something this pairing does better than almost anyone else in the show. There is also a quieter line, easy to miss on a first watch, where Angela says something that sounds simple on the surface, but actually says a lot about how she sees their relationship. Fans who caught it right away could not stop talking about it because it added a new layer of meaning to scenes that came before it, once you watch them again with that line in mind. What makes all of these moments so memorable is not just the writing, it is the delivery. Tommy and Angela know exactly how to play off each other, how to pause at the right second, how to let a line breathe before moving on. That kind of timing cannot be forced, and it is a big part of why their scenes together keep getting rewatched and quoted long after the episode first aired. Asterisk. Tommy and Angela work so well together because they give the audience a bit of everything. They argue, they cause chaos, they surprise everyone with quiet moments of care. And they drop lines that stick around long after the credits roll. That mix is rare, and it is exactly why so many fans consider their scenes the heart of the show. If you enjoyed this look back at their best moments from season 2, let us know in the comments which scene was your favorite. And stick around for more breakdowns like this one. Season 3 is coming, and if their history says anything about what is next, it is safe to say Tommy and Angela are far from done giving us something to talk about.